The boy suddenly began to notice that something about his father was not normal. During his workouts, he was able to bench press an inhuman amount of weight. After adding the 2 plates Joseph had just secretly brought from home, his father had already pressed 250 pounds, an amount David himself had never even dared to attempt before. To test his father's limits, Joseph loaded every single weight plate onto the bar, and even added 4 buckets of paint tied to it. The total weight reached a shocking 350 pounds. The fact that his father could not only lift it, but do multiple reps, proved his body was far beyond normal human structure. Unable to further confirm his suspicion, Joseph that night secretly took his father's gun. This immediately sent David and his wife into panic, because their son had not only found the bullets hidden inside a trophy, but had also already loaded and cocked the gun. On the other side, Joseph firmly believed that even if he shot his father, he would not get hurt. Not long ago, David had been on a train that suddenly suffered a mechanical failure and went out of control. The speeding train derailed and plunged into a valley. After Joseph saw the news report, he was completely stunned. The accident killed all 131 passengers on board. The violent crash turned the train cars into something like a giant blender from the force of impact, leaving no complete bodies behind. But David was the only exception. He not only survived by sheer luck, but didn't even suffer a single scratch. He walked out of the hospital alive under the watch of grieving families, becoming an overnight miracle reported across newspapers and television. Shortly after, David attended a memorial service for the victims of the train accident. But when he was leaving, he noticed a letter attached to the windshield of his car. The content inside was even more bizarre. The writer asked David how many days in his entire life he had ever been sick. This question left David unsettled. According to his memory, he had never once taken medicine or received an injection. David worked as a security guard at a large sports stadium where attendance and clock-ins were strictly monitored. After inquiring with the HR department, he suddenly realized he had perfect attendance for 5 consecutive years. To confirm it, that night David went to his wife's room. Although they had been living separately due to marital issues for years, he realized that ever since they were dating in college, he had never once been sick, not even a common cold or fever. But logically, no one living in this world should go through life without ever getting sick. Driven by suspicion, David followed the address on the envelope and found the sender. The man's name was Elijah, the operator of a comic exhibition hall. He had been obsessed with comics since childhood and truly believed superheroes existed in the real world. Because of this, he constantly followed disaster news, trying to find survivors with extraordinary abilities. He believed David was one of them, possibly someone with an indestructible body. But David was convinced this was nonsense. He had not been untouched by injury. During college, a car accident had forced him to leave the football team he loved. To him, Elijah sounded like nothing more than a fraud, unable to provide real answers. However, Joseph, on the other hand, was completely fascinated by his words and believed them without hesitation, which was why he decided to test his father's body in such an extreme way.